Challenging high-level players in D&D who are well-built, well-optimized is really hard.
7,000 goblins. That's all that stands between me and godhood.
Can we stop pretending to have fun committing to the monster's hit points as
I'll now squeeze out a third of my potential for a puddle of grease!
Heyo, adventurers! My name is Derek, and this is Elven Tower Adventures. It's been a while since the last time I explored the dangerous lands of D&D TikTok, but today I have brought a selection of strange wild TikToks I found over there. Without further ado...
What if the sweetest healer your D&D party has met was actually a monster? After a bloody battle, tiny bee spirits drift over corpses, building crystal hives and shattered armor. Their honey erases wounds and fatigue, and tastes exactly like your happiest memory. Days later, your heroes wake up already marching, smiling, following a distant humming into the dark, enthralled to the will of honeywinds.
Well, we're starting strong. I am pretty sure everything we just saw is AI generated. Personally, I don't really care if stuff is AI generated as long as it is good, but there are a lot of people, especially in the TTRPG scene, who cannot stand any form of AI generated content. I would love to know, what is your take on it? Have you purchased or have you used AI for D&D in some way or another? Do you care or not? Do you hate it, and why? See you in the comments.
Can we stop pretending to have fun committing to the monster's hit points as written? Boss battles aside, I rarely follow the average hit points stated on the monster stat block. Instead, I use it as a rough idea of how weak or healthy a monster can be. You might argue that it doesn't let the dice tell a story, but that's the point. The dice aren't meant to dictate the pace of the game. They're meant to determine the narrative direction. If half my session is taken up by some bad rolls on a random medium encounter, I've wasted the entire table's time. The players will walk away from the session wondering, what the hell did we achieve? Did the story progress at all? So no, I won't be dogmatic about the monster's hit points. Monsters will have lower hit points if it means the story moves forward and the players get a win. Maybe the goblins are weaker from another fight. Perhaps the animated armor is rusted and broken. I'll increase monster hit points if the combat is suddenly too easy. The dragon could have more meat on its bones, or maybe the orcs are just more durable at taking hits. Do this with the intention of keeping things exciting. Your players are going to appreciate your skills at controlling the pace of the game if you just stop sticking to the average hit points of monsters.
I haven't GM'd D&D for a while, but when I used to do that, this was my way to do things. I would keep all the monster stats behind the GM screen, but the monster's hit points was more or less like just a guideline. Actually, the whole stat block was more like a guideline. There's this cool blog post out there that claims that you could use the bear stat block, I think it's the brown bear stat block, for pretty much anything, and the players will never notice. And it's kinda right, especially at lower levels. This person says, I go off vibes. 6th edition stat block prediction, health points replaced by 5 points. If you follow exactly what's there, you have entered video game combat. If a player does one badass one-liner and crit hits, leaving the monster with 3 HP, just let it drop. Moments over numbers. That said, there's always an outlier. This person says, I would despise how you run it, to be honest.
Challenging high-level players in D&D who are well-built, well-optimized is really hard. It's really hard in D&D. You're not wrong to have trouble here. Players have so many options for boosting their ability checks, their skill checks, expertise, guidance, enhanceability, reliable talent, bardic inspiration. Like, the potential bonuses stack insanely high. Like, I have an example build on RPGbot.net that can add just a whole stack of bonus dice on ability checks and get like an average plus 20 bonus without proficiency. So yes.
He outlines one of the crazy facts about D&D in 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition, which is pretty much why I stopped GMing D&D 5e. At least on levels after level 7, it starts to get crazy. What he describes, it becomes noticeable at those levels, and it gets worse as you go up.
Challenging high-level players is very difficult with ability checks. But I don't think that's actually a problem. Your players have invested a ton of resources, a ton of decision points to make themselves good at those things, to make themselves good at that given ability check. So like your rogue with reliable talent and expertise and maximized dexterity and a cloak of Elvenkind or whatever, they're really good at stealth, like impossible to stop at stealth. But they have put in a ton of resources to get to that point. Let them have it. if they have built their character to be unstoppable at a given thing, you kind of just have to some degree, but you can lean into that. You don't need to worry about that character successfully sneaking around things, and when they don't, it's a big deal. Like, your rogue goes to sneak up on the big bad. They've got like plus 1,000,000 to stealth. They roll a 30 on their stealth check. They're unstoppable. They're undetected. And the big bad turns around and looks them in the face and says, I was wondering when you would get here. Like, those moments of unexpected failure can be really interesting story beats. Also, you need to find a way to make those make sense, because, like, if the player's invisible and running non-detection and they've done all the things, like, yes, again, let them have it to some degree.
Yeah, but sometimes it really doesn't make sense, because the PCs are so powerful that in order for the GM to make them fail as he just described, it's not going to make sense with the rules. And it's just going to look like you, the GM, are using your GM privileges to override the character. And when they appreciate that this is what just happened, it doesn't work. Breaks the immersion, and it starts to feel like it's a fight between the players and the GM. That's never good.
Sometimes you want to put difficult challenges in front of them so they feel like they're being challenged, to reward their investment in those things. Because if they're a master of stealth and you just never make them roll stealth ever again, that's deeply dissatisfying. So sometimes you just have to let the players win and look for other ways to challenge them beyond just the things that they're good at. And a lot of those resources, like Bardic Inspiration and Guidance and things like that, those frequently have usage limitations or costs of some kind. Like, even Guidance, sure, it's a cantrip, but it takes concentration, which means dropping concentration on probably a much higher level spell to use it. So continuously putting those small challenges in front of players and forcing them to spend resources can also make those challenges more impactful. Even if normally those players are really, really good at it, they might still fail simply because they can't afford the resources to automatically pass an ability check.
What he said at the end about the party having some limited resources, like spells or limited uses of class abilities and stuff like that, it reminded me of something I read the other day that one of the core designers of D&D 5e wrote or said in an interview in the past. And it is that they designed the game, they balanced it around having around 6 to 8 encounters a day so that the party is depleted of all these resources. It's somehow balanced. But with how long sometimes fights in D&D are, like a very short one would be 30 minutes long, and long battles could be 2 hours long. I believe this is one of the core disadvantages of playing games like this, because I don't think it's balanced correctly, but maybe that's just me.
With one swipe of your sword, the vampire's head topples to the ground, his body turning to ash. Vengeance is yours. Congratulations, you and the party level up. You return to your childhood home. Mementos of your parents, finally, able to be buried. Their story has come to an end. Congratulations, you and the party level up. With lightning coursing through his veins, the arch-wizard is disintegrated. Congratulations, you have achieved vengeance, and you level up. 7,000 goblins. 7,000 goblins. That's all that stands between me and godhood. Are people really gonna miss that peasant village? Alright, just hear me out though. Just hear me out though. Rats. Clean out the sewers of every town. There's always rats down there, and we can farm them for power. Yeah, so last month I was nobody, and this month I can do this. I turned you inside out.
Well, yes, because when you have a TTRPG game where you give out XP for killing monsters, well, as they say, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. This is why I appreciate some games that have different ways of giving out XP. For example, if you see stuff for like Old School Essentials or the Lamentations for the Flame Princess game, they do give out XP for killing monsters, but it's just a small fraction of what you can get. Mainly, you get a lot more XP by retrieving treasure and bringing it back to town. In some narrative games like Forged in the Dark or Powered by the Apocalypse, you get XP by doing the stuff that your character wants. In games like Mouse Guard or Burning Wheel, you get XP by completing your beliefs and the promises you have made to yourself and others. In the Mothership RPG, which is a sci-fi RPG, they give you XP for exploring the ship, responding to distress calls, or saving your comrades. In the end, the game rewards you for what they want to do. And D&D, at least the latest editions, they do reward you for killing stuff.
It's time to go to heaven, my child.
Stop it, what are you doing? Stop it, stop it, cut it out, help.
Wasn't there a spell out there that did that? I can't remember if it's 5e or an earlier edition, but there was this spell that you could just go to a dying creature and you would just kill it outright. And I think you could recover some HP in the process. From the comments. My favorite part of being a cleric is shocking the rest of my party with how much anger she has. It's so funny to me that paladins have entire rules around oath breaking and not being true to their oath, but clerics don't when it comes to forsaking their god's tenets. I absolve you of your sins. Tri-beam. I had a Tempest cleric with a deep hate of the Fae. She encountered redcaps in descent into Avernus and out of sheer spite tracked one down in the middle of the night and banished it. My cleric in Dragonlance has moonbeamed a little too close to the sun, and now several people are very dead.
Are my favorite way to foreshadow consequences. To show your players the wind up to a heavy hit like a Dark Souls boss. That's exactly what you're talking about here with danger clocks and faction clocks. The example is stealth. The players are sneaking around and you want getting caught to be a major consequence, but not after just one missed roll. So you make a danger clock. Let's give it 4 ticks. I feel like alert is the standard name of this clock, but I like to use the name of the clock to name the consequence. So I might call it surrounded. Now as players are taking action to sneak around, you can use that clock as a consequence for actions that might raise suspicion. On a miss or partial success, you can say, I think that made some noise, and fill in a couple segments. Now you hear guards coming to investigate the source of the sound. Importantly, I don't just fill in the clock. These aren't just hit points for stealth. A change in the clock represents a change in the fiction. The guards are more alert than they were a minute ago, and they're coming for you. You are approaching the consequence of being surrounded, which we'll realize when the clock fills. As your lockpick jams, you hear a whistle behind you. Guards are moving to every exit to block your escape. Action goals work the same way on a longer time scale. Instead of randomly springing a doomsday device on your players, making a clock that players can track creates tension. You can fill in a tick or two every time significant time passes. Importantly, these must also represent concrete changes in the fiction. Completing plans, finding a location, securing an energy source, because this gives players concrete handles to interact with and oppose these goals. And if they don't, you can't say you didn't warn them. It's doomsday, baby! Follow for more GM tips.
I know they appear in many games, but I first saw this mechanic in Blades in the Dark and Scum and Villainy, which is very similar. And he is right that it is a great way to give a sense of progression to some goal. In our Blades in the Dark games and also in a Mouse Guard game, we used it to track players' goals during downtime. So when they had long-term goals that they could not achieve in a short period, we would create a progress clock with 4, 6, or maybe 8 different segments, and then we would just mark some segments every time they had a downtime phase. Something I think he didn't mention in the video is whether the clocks are only GM facing or if they are public. I think in the games I have read that include this mechanic, they are public, so everyone can see them. The characters know how close they are to a long-term goal or something bad happening. I think it's a great thing to do.
If I use everything I've got, all the weave that I can control, I'll summon 3 magic missiles. I spent years studying in the infinite library. I'll now squeeze out 1/3 of my potential for a puddle of grease. My mentor, the Wizard King, taught me this very move. Fog cloud. That moon looks a little far from your castle. I'll fix that. Do you want something from me? Because I don't know if you know this, but I can grant wishes. Once a day, I can grant any wish you want. Pretty much. This whole thing, yeah, it's my pocket universe that I've got. Yeah, it's like a demi-plane or whatever. You know, so everyone's got one these days. It's whatever, no big deal. Have you seen The Prestige? Spoilers. I cloned myself. Yeah, I'm immortal. I can't die anymore. If I die, I go into a younger clone. Die of old age? Younger clone. Die of any other reason? Younger clone.
I mean, where is the lie? We've all seen this. Spellcasters grow exponentially. At some point, they become super powerful, not just the wizards, also the clerics and the druids. Balance-wise, it's one of the craziest things to do to balance the high-level spellcasters from the fighting characters. And I feel like as of late, all the fighting classes also do have spells or some access to spells, so everyone's a spellcaster now. Adam says, you can cast Wish or summon 11 magic missiles. The rate of exchange there is crazy. Technically, a level 1 magic missile can kill 3 commoners outright, technically, but because it's a d4 plus 1, I think, maybe some of them do not die. This person says, a level 1 through level 20 testicular torsion. Starting wizards who have studied all their lives at level 1 is silly. It's as silly as the best swordmaster in town being a first level fighter. Write the fluff according to their character's capabilities. Yeah, that reminds me of a guy who was level 1, but he had a name something like Jack the Demon Killer. He had not killed any demons in his life. It was just fluff. Actually, he died at first level. He was killed by wolves. Well, Wish does have like heavy repercussions on the caster, so it's not like they can cast Wish on the daily just because. Play your low level wizards as if they have 9th level spells. They just don't waste good magic. That was quite the small collection of TikTok videos. If you got this far watching my YouTube video, thank you very much. My channel is not monetized, I don't have sponsors, but we do have a cool Patreon page that you might want to check out. I would really appreciate it if you do, but if not, just a like or a comment, that's perfect for me. I'll take all the engagement I can get. Well, I think that's it for this one. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. This is Elven Tower Adventures.